What is good, Sixer Nation? You already know who this is. It's DFJ Hoops again here with another live stream. Y'all know we got to talk about this. We definitely have to talk about this. Got to recap this game. Charlotte Hornets versus 76ers. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Shout out to my guy Michael. Excuse me. Shout out to my guy Michael, always showing love and support. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Salute, bro. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day. He says good victory. It shouldn't win overtime though. I definitely agree with you. We're definitely gonna we're gonna talk about this more. But yeah, as he says, y'all smash that like button as y'all come in. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So the Sixers took on the Charlotte Hornets last night. The Hornets were on a 2-game winning streak now. I'm not sure what teams they beat, but I mean, this Charlotte team is a good team. I mean, they're not a top 6 seed. They're not good enough to be a top 6 seed, but they're good enough to beat, teams in the Eastern Conference. I think they're definitely a playing team, right? I can see them finishing with the 8th or 9th seed, or maybe the 10th seed, but they're definitely a playing. Excuse me, they're definitely a playing team, but they had some injuries on their side, right? They had some guys they were missing. Mark Williams is missing. He didn't play last night. Miles Bridges didn't play last night, and another player didn't play for them as well. So, what the Sixers are dealing with, they're also dealing with the same thing. The Sixers don't have Maxey and Joel Embiid. So, um, but this game, I expected the Sixers to win, and they did exactly so. Snapping a 5-game losing streak. The Sixers. It's funny, but they lost to the Pistons, they lost to the Grizz, they lost to the Suns, lost to the Clippers, and then lost to the Lakers. So they definitely had to get this win. So I was glad they got it. But let's get into the game and discuss what happened in this game. So the Sixers had the first possession, and they ran a great action. It was a flare screen. Paul George came off that flare screen to the slot and received the pass from Kyle Lowry, and it was a good look, but he just didn't knock it down. Now Paul George did struggle in this game from the 3-point line. He was again inefficient. His 4th game back from his injury. His first game at the Wells Fargo Center. Shout out to my guy Humble 420. Appreciate you. Hey Humble. I would say this: the Philadelphia 76ers will hand the Cleveland Cavaliers their first loss this season. You heard it here first, bro. Wait, appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Smash that like button. But yeah, as I was saying, Paul George has been struggling. He struggled last night. And I mean, the floor is not as spaced. I mean, the floor is congested. I mean, yeah, congested a little bit, and the defense are able to, double team him, trying to get the ball out of his hands, and sometimes force him into a tough shot. And they're being successful at doing that. But sometimes Paul George, being so skilled, being so good offensively, he's still able to make something happen out of nothing, right? Get into the cup, shooting those mid range shots, shooting threes. I mean, he only made 1 3 in this game, but I felt like Paul George still felt he found ways to be more effective in this game. I mean, he finished this game with 9 assists, and most of those assists came in the third, which we're gonna get to. But the Sixers overall, the offense started off really, really bad. Right, the offense started really, really bad. In the first 6 minutes or halfway through the game, the Sixers only had 5 points, which was it was terrible. But LaMelo Ball, on the other hand, was going off for the Charlotte Hornets. Humble said, I can see it, bro. I believe. Now, I mean, it's gonna be a good game though. But I mean, Embiid is not gonna be playing. So, but I mean, the Cavs, they playing good, playing great basketball to start the season. Also, I definitely got to give them their credit. I don't like Jared Allen, but I have to give him his props. Right? I don't like him, but gotta give him his props. But yeah, with the Sixers struggling, the Charlotte Hornets on the other side, they also struggled, right? They scored 10 points, and LaMelo Ball had all those 10 points. And I was watching the game from the Charlotte Hornets point of view. I mean, the announcer's point of view, and the announcers it's just crazy, man. Every time they make a shot, they just exaggerate these calls, and LaMelo Ball's got 1 foot in the Schuylkill River, and I'm like, come on, man, what are we doing? But they make the game a little bit more entertaining than what it actually is. I wish the Sixers had the same thing. I wish we had those announcers. I mean, K Scott is doing a great job, but I mean, not to the level. She's not bringing the level of excitement that the Charlotte Hornets announcers are bringing to the game. But both teams did struggle offensively, but with the Sixers only having 5 points halfway through the game, then Paul George started to get aggressive in the first, where he had had a strong drive to the basket, and then he ran this pick and roll action with Gershon Yabusele, and Yabusele was able to score off that screen and roll action. Now Yabusele had a great game himself, and I'm gonna definitely get to him, but I mean I think last night's game was a game for Yabusele and Jared McCain. And Jared McCain, I'm gonna definitely get to in a few minutes here. But in the first, we saw Nick Nurse, introduce a new player who hasn't really played that much, and that was Jeff Dalton Jr., who came in the game in the first quarter, was very, very aggressive. He made some smart plays, some great plays, offensively, defensively. Defensively, he was in the gaps. He was rotating well. And then offensively, he was being aggressive, getting to the basket, making threes, and then also making plays for the other guys. Now, I felt like he was being a little bit unselfish on a couple of possessions. I mean, some of them he had wide open shots and he just didn't take those shots. And I was like, yo, just shoot them because you're wide open. Because the Sixers were struggling to make threes. And the Sixers went, I think, 1 for 14 from the 3-point line. And the only 3-pointer they made was from Jeff Dalton Jr. So, but I mean, I think overall, I like the activity level offensively and defensively. And he was able to speed the game up a lot for the Sixers. Not, Kyle. I don't want to get on Kyle, right? I don't want to get on him because I mean I know he's 38 years old. He's an older player, so he's not going to push the pace to the same level that I would want him to. But at the same time, you definitely have to give him his props. He definitely brings he brings something to this team that not everybody's willing to do, right? I think Kyle Lowry's a pest, right? He's a pest on offense, and sometimes what he does, it's not going to reflect on the box score. You're not going to see it on the stat sheet, but you can definitely, if you're watching the game, you can definitely see what he brings to this game. On the defensive side of the floor, him being a pest, him being an agitator sometimes, and it's just he's annoying if you're playing against him. But sometimes when you have him on your team, he's very, very fun to play with. Salute to my guy Mike. Appreciate you. Tuning in sports with the same talking points from last season. Jared Allen outplayed Embiid last time they played. Okay, that's okay. What does that mean? I mean, Paul Reed outplayed Nikola Jokic last time he played him. What is that? One game? That's what you're gonna have. Come on, bro. Don't let me do this, bro. Do not let me. Hey, Tune in sports. Look, I ain't gonna say nothing, bro. That's all you need to see, bro. That's it. Mic drop. That's all I gotta show you. But Jeff Dowling Jr. came in the game. He finished this game with I think 11 points in 17 minutes. So he definitely gave you a lot. What the hell? Sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, he definitely gave us something that the Sixers didn't really have in previous games, right? Somebody who could push the pace, make shots, and do certain things that Kyle Lowry's not able to do because he's a little bit older, right? But Jeff Dowling, I really appreciated what he brought to the game. And then you had Jared McCain who came in the game, sped the game up, with his ability in transition, his ability to shoot the three, and sometimes being strong defensively. I mean, not as an on-ball defender, but in the gaps, getting the passing lanes, sometimes even getting on the glass and getting some rebounds. He had some crucial rebounds in this game, but he did most of his damage in the second half, which we're gonna get to. But I was glad that Nick Nurse did give I was glad he gave Jeff Dalton Jr. a lot of minutes in this game because I didn't really expect to see Jeff Dalton Jr. in this game. But the second quarter comes, the Sixers finished they finished the first quarter with only 16 points, and Charlotte only had 15. So you can tell that on both sides they had a sloppy start offensively, right? They're missing shots, and Charlotte had a lot of turnovers, right? They had a lot of turnovers, and the Sixers, they capitalized on some of them, but not all of them, right? But the second quarter comes around, and Jeff Dowtin Jr., Sixers' first possession, he scores, right? He scores on great action coming off the screen, and then getting all the way to the basket. That was some great action. And I think I have to give Nick Nurse some credit. Now I'm not going to give him a lot of credit, but I give him a little bit of credit because in this game the offense was much better. The offense was much better. Players were moving. The ball was moving. If I look at the stats, I think the Sixers had more than 20 assists in this game. I mean, they did play in overtime, even though they didn't make a lot of shots in overtime. But um, yeah, I think I have to give them some credit, but not a lot of credit, right? Not a lot of credit because they had some they had some defensive breakdowns in the fourth that we're going to get to. But in the second quarter, they came out and they had a much better second quarter than they did in the first, right? They finished the second with 31 points, and that's where you saw Jeff Dowtin Jr. Started to get aggressive, and then the Sixers they put what you call it they put Taj Gibson. Now I was surprised that I saw Taj Gibson in this. I mean, I was shocked that he's still in the league because I thought I didn't know he was in the league. But so seeing him start at the center position, Andre Drummond got him in foul trouble a couple of times, and then he had like 4 fouls by the second quarter, right? So that's where they started to get Andre Drummond much more involved, and he was being a threat as a roll man. He was being a threat on the glass, and then he was posting up. He posted up what you call it, Taj Gibson. Taj Gibson did pick up some fouls, and then they had to sub him out. They had to bring in Grant Williams, and Grant Williams was a small body, even though he's very very strong, but he's still a small body that Andre Drummond can definitely get the best. He can definitely get the best matchup out of. So that's where Andre Drummond started to score a little bit more points, and you have to give Paul George some props. You got to give him a lot of credit because he saw that what you call it. He saw that mismatch and he started spamming that you know started spamming that mismatch and spamming those plays over and over again to get the easiest matchup to score without having to do a lot. And Andre Drummond did do his part, and then the Sixers, they brought in what you call it, Yabusele, and Yabusele was also doing his thing. Paul George by himself also went on a run where he scored like 5 quick points with a the first shot was on a turnaround fadeaway. And Paul George, I don't know, but on those fadeaways, he's starting to make them at a very, very, at a decent rate, right? When he posts up, when he gets that mismatch on the left hand side of the block, he's able to fade to his right and make those shots. I saw him post up Josh Green multiple times, and he was making shots like that. I saw him post up is it Trey Mann or Trey Jones? Yeah, I think it's Trey Jones. My fault. He posted up Trey Jones, and he was making a lot of those shots, fade into his right and then making those shots like that. He didn't make a lot. And Paul George also took advantage of mismatches. I felt like Josh Green did a solid job, but I mean, covering Paul George, you got to have if you're not really really strong, it's going to be very very difficult for you. But he still did make it difficult for him from the 3-point line. But when Paul George got in the mid range, it was just there's nothing he could do about it. Right now, Thomas, you keep sending me that Paul George 16 points and they're paying them 212. Okay. You keep saying the same thing about Yoga OG. You told me by yourself that they're paying OG for his defense. And then Tyrese Halliburton walked into that house and dropped 38 and 14 assists. So where was that defense at? Huh? Where was that defense at? I thought they paying him for defense. Right. So yeah, Paul George is having these slow starts in some of these games. But then again, if you look at the players that he's playing with, most of these guys cannot create their own shot. So the floor is not as spaced as it should be. right? So these guys are able to capitalize on Paul George and crowd his airspace, get into the gaps because some of these guys are not a threat from from the 3 point line. An example is Kelly Oubre, and I'm not trying to get on Kelly Oubre, but Kelly Oubre had a very very terrible game. Had a very very terrible game, especially in that first half. Right, had a terrible start, went 0 for 4, and then he got blessed to get to the free throw line on some. It was a fluke call, right? I'm gonna be honest, it was a fluke call. He got to the free throw line and still missed those 2 free throws, right? So he struggled in this game, and then shout out to YF08. Appreciate you for stopping by, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, I got humble and tuning sports going at it in the comment section, but yeah, I love to see that. But yeah, Kelly Oubre did struggle in this game, and in the first half, it was just terrible. But luckily for him, he scored the Sixers' last 6 points, which they were all in layups. The first one was he attacked the closeout, going to his left, and his left hand is his dominant hand, so he was able to get to the basket, finish strong, go up against like 1 or 2 defenders. So that was some great decision making on his part, and not jacking up a 3 because he has been jump shot happy, right? He catches it and he always wants to shoot it, even though he's a terrible shooter. I'm not looking at the percentages right now, but if I look up his 3 point percentage, it's definitely terrible, right? I'm not even going to look that up. I'm gonna let y'all look it up and tell me what it is. I know it's terrible, right? I know it's terrible. I'm not going to look it up, but he had a terrible game. My guy Caleb Martin also had a terrible game. He had some moments, from time to time, but the aggressiveness was not there. But the aggressiveness offensively, it wasn't there, but on defense, it was there, right? I think he did a solid job trying to make things very, very difficult for LaMelo Ball. And in some spurts, he was definitely successful with it, right? Forcing him into some tough shots. And LaMelo did jack up a lot of threes. I think he jacked up like 18 threes in this game and only made 6 of them. So, he was getting jump shot happy as well. But sometimes, some of the shots he has to take them because nobody else on this team is going to take it, right? Especially when you have all these players that's out. Miles Bridges was out. At some point, Brandon Miller, who's a second-year player, he was in foul trouble, so he didn't really play as much in the first. But in the second quarter, I think Brandon Miller did a fantastic job being aggressive, trying to get to the basket, and trying to take some of the pressure off of LaMelo Ball. But the Sixers were able to keep them in check. And you definitely have to give Kelly Oubre and Caleb Martin a lot of praise on that in that department because they were solid defensively. Offensively, they were trash, but defensively, I think they were solid. Shout out to my guy, who is Hendo. Appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate you. But we get into the third. And I felt like the Sixers had a better second and third than they did the first and the fourth. Now, in previous games, the Sixers always have a terrible third quarter. Against the Lakers, they had a terrible third quarter. Against the Clippers, it was terrible. They got ran out the gym. But in this game right here, they got aggressive in the third, and they start off the quarter on a 12-2 run. And I have to give Nick Nurse some props on this because he didn't start Andre Drummond in the third. He started Gershon Yabusele, and Yabusele did a solid job in the third. I think that third quarter was all Yabusele and Jared McCain. It was all it was just them. And you got to give Paul George a lot of credit as well because he was facilitating the offense. He was orchestrating the offense. He was making the plays, making the reads, and finding these easy shots for Gershon Yabusele in the post, posting up, taking advantage of some of these mismatches like Grant Williams. Now, Grant Williams is 6'6", but I think Yabusele got at least 20 to 30 pounds on him. So he's not really going to be that big of an issue for a Gershon Yabusele. And Paul George was making a lot of these reads, and on the short roll, Yabusele was so great. On the short row, setting these screens. He was also great on the block, and he was also great shooting the 3-pointers, right? So Yabusele started off that third quarter very, very hot, and then Jared McCain finished it off with 10 straight points to give the 76ers a 16-point lead heading into the fourth. Who's Hendo says, he says, when y'all get healthy, y'all gonna be good and win. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we're 2-7 in the season right now. It's an ugly start. I mean, when you start off a season, I mean, trust me, nobody wants to lose 5 games in a row at no point to start off the season. But at this point, it just happened to the Sixers, and I think you can't erase it. All you can do is just move on to the next one. And, hopefully Embiid comes back this Tuesday against the Knicks and we see what he has. I mean, he's definitely going to be on minutes restriction, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I definitely believe that when we're healthy, we can definitely, I mean, we're only 2 games away from the 3rd seed. Ain't that crazy? We're the 15th seed, but we only 2 games out the 3rd seed. So I think the Sixers are definitely in a good position. Let me read this one first. Twitter Sports says humble facts. I'm gonna keep you posted. Just be on the lookout. Yeah, I mean, Twitter Sports, Cavs fans, they waiting for you, bro. They is definitely waiting for you. YF08 says, yo, also, how you feel about PG's play? I really enjoyed his playmaking so far, but I don't know if it's because I've never been a person to watch him, but he seems to be settling a lot and trying not to be too physical. Yeah, sometimes I see it, but sometimes he had a couple takes to the rim where it was like he just muscled his way to the basket, right? Against Phoenix, I don't know if you remember the play where Bradley Beal was guarding him and he just bullied his way to the basket and got that and one. I don't know if you saw it, but that's an instance of him trying to be physical. And then when he gets on the block, sometimes he's able to, Paul George got some broad shoulders. He uses the chicken wing sometimes to get the defender off balance a little bit so he can, get enough separation to shoot those jump shots of his. I think he gets physical, but it's not to the level that we expect it to be at. But I believe it's definitely going to get there. I think it's, he's taking baby steps to it. And hopefully when he's playing his usual minutes, I mean, he's still on minutes restrictions. He didn't play at all in overtime. But I think if he gets to play, regularly, I think we'll definitely see he'll settle, but he'll definitely have sometimes where he's just bullying his way to the basket or, taking advantage of mismatches in the post, in the short corner, in the mid range, and he's definitely going to do his thing. Embiid, Maxey, and PG have to play to build chemistry. That is so true. And that's why we have been wanting Embiid to play for the longest. And, hopefully he doesn't miss any more time. And hopefully Maxey can return much earlier. I mean, hamstring injuries, those injuries they're not easy because you may think that you're healed, but, a least mistake, you'll probably injure your hamstring again. So hopefully he can come back healthy and we can see where the Sixers go from there. But yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You got to build chemistry. The camaraderie has to be there in order to win. So I'm not even going to argue that. You're not going to get no arguments from me. So Embiid not playing you scared. Yo, Tune In Sports, you were so scared of Joel, bro. I don't know. He just instills fear in your heart. And I was like, God damn, bro. Whether he plays or not, you shouldn't be scared. I mean, y'all 10-0. So, and as you said, Jared Allen outplayed Embiid. So it shouldn't matter if he plays or doesn't play against the Cavs. It shouldn't matter at all, but we'll see. My Pistons, the 10th seed. Yeah, I saw that Jalen Green dunk on Cade Cunningham. I was like, God damn. That was nasty, right? That was a nasty dunk. I ain't gonna lie, but the Pistons, I think they're gonna be in the play-in. I think the Pistons and Charlotte, they're definitely gonna be in the play-in, but they have to win, right? And I think this Pistons team this year is much better than last year's team, obviously. But I think Cade has to take another step. He has to take another leap. I think he has to establish himself as the best player from his draft and on this team because this is his team. So I think he has to establish himself. But I think sometimes he gives you flashes, but I want to see the consistency. But y'all funny, man. Yeah, but Cade. Yeah, they in the same draft, right? I think Jalen Green was the second. He was the second pick, the second or third pick. But yeah, smash the like button as y'all come in. Smash the like button. But yeah, not to get off track. The Sixers had their best quarter in the second, right? And then in the third, it was the same. I mean, they only scored 1 point less. But the offense that they was generating was so easy. It was sustainable, on those screen and rolls and then pick and pops and then, Paul George dribble drives and driving kicks and then, kicking it out to an open shooter. And then, next thing you know, a Yabusele's making 3-pointers. Or next thing you know, a Jared McCain is making a three. But Brandon Miller for Charlotte, he started to go off because he was in foul trouble and he was not in any rhythm whatsoever. Because Kelly Oubre definitely did a solid job on him defensively, but in the third, that's when he started going off. Then he scores 10 straight points. I mean, not 10 straight points, but 10 total points in the third. But it was just not enough to make it a close game with the Sixers in the third. And the Sixers ended up going up by 16 points heading into the fourth. So in the fourth, that's where things started to get more interesting, right? In the fourth, the Sixers go up by 16 points. Jared McCain, who was killing in the mid-range and also getting to the basket. Now, I don't know. Jared McCain seems like he doesn't have a left hand. I mean, I could be tripping, but every time I see him drive left, he ends up finishing with his right. So I don't know if he's uncomfortable going up with his left hand. I mean, he can dribble with the left hand, but finishing with his left hand is something I haven't really seen too often. And if y'all realize that, y'all can tell me, or maybe I just missed it. But every time I see him go up with his left, I mean, drive left, he's not finishing with his left hand. But I mean, nonetheless, he was able to, get to the mid range, get to the mid range, shoot these fadeaways, and then you had Jeff Dowtin Jr. also making some floaters, making some plays in the fourth. But the Charlotte Hornets were able to go on a run of their own by cutting the lead or cutting the deficit from 16 points. They were able to cut the deficit all the way to 8 points, and that was all LaMelo Ball. That was all LaMelo Ball, shooting threes, getting to the basket, being aggressive, and then Brandon Miller started to get into the play. LaMelo Ball made some great plays in this game, finding some threes for the open shooters, for Grant Williams, for Cody Martin, Caleb Martin's his twin brother. I don't know who's the oldest, but LaMelo Ball did everything for them in that fourth frame. But with about 3 minutes left, the game got tied, right? The game got tied. I mean, Charlotte took the lead, right, off those Brandon Miller free throws, right? He got to the line, made those 2 free throws, and then he put the Hornets up by 1 point, right? 87-86. And then the Sixers call timeout, and Nick Nurse draws this play up for Jared McCain. And I think this game was a breakout game for Jared McCain because Jared McCain played the entire fourth, right? He played the entire fourth. So it's very, very surprising for Nick Nurse, who barely plays any young players. It's very, very surprising for him to play a rookie 12 straight minutes, right? It was just surprising. So I think Nick Nurse is starting to earn the trust of Jared McCain because if he didn't trust him, he's not going to play him all those minutes. But, they come out of that timeout, they run this play, and then Jared McCain is able to get to the mid-range and then, put the Sixers up by 1 point, right? He got to the mid-range a lot of times. He got to the basket a lot of times, and he's showing that he's very, very fearless, right? He's not scared to go up against nobody. He'll definitely challenge any shot blocker at the rim. But Jared McCain puts the Sixers up by 1 point in the mid-range, and then Brandon Miller responds, right? Get into get into that mid range, on Paul George, on his idol. He was able to get him on a pump fake, spin, and then shoot that fadeaway and make that shot. So at that point, it was a back and forth game. And then Jared McCain hits a three to put the Sixers up by 2 points. Right? So it was a back and forth game between the two of them. And then Charlotte had a chance, right? Charlotte had a chance to score. They had a chance to tie or take the lead. And then they missed that shot. And then the Sixers on the very next possession, Paul George had it. He drove in the lane, collapsed the defense, kicked it out to Caleb Martin, and then Caleb Martin finally made a three-pointer, and that put the Sixers up by 5 points. And then Charlotte comes back, and then Brandon Miller hits a three to cut the lead or cut the deficit to 2 points. So from there, it was only about 15 seconds left to go, and then Charlotte fouls Jared McCain, and then Jared McCain goes to the free throw line. He makes 2 free throws to put the Sixers up by 4 points. Now, Jared McCain, I wasn't aware of this. He hasn't missed a free throw yet in this as a professional, right? So that's impressive, right? So when he was going to the free throw line, I had a strong feeling that he was going to make both of those free throws. So he gets to the line, he makes those 2 free throws, puts the Sixers up by 4 points, and then Charlotte calls timeout. So when they call timeout, they run this play, and I think it was smart on the Sixers' part to not give up a 3 and just give up the 2. So they give up a 2, and then the lead is only 2 points. So the Sixers inbound it, and I thought that Jared McCain should have gotten the ball because Jared McCain was the hot hand. He had the hot hand. He had scored like 11 points in the fourth at that point. So I wanted him to get it, but the Sixers somehow, Kyle Lowry ends up getting it. And then when Kyle Lowry gets it, he gets fouled. They send him to the line. He gets to the free throw line. The Sixers are up by 2 points. And then Kyle Lowry misses the first free throw, right? He misses the first one, and then he makes the second one. So it puts the Sixers up by 3 points. And Charlotte then calls timeout. And then the Sixers come out. And on that defensive possession right there, I believe that there was no way that they should have had Jared McCain on the floor for that defensive possession with about 10 seconds left to go in that fourth. I believe they should have had a KJ Martin or somebody. Like, in situations like that, you should always have defenders on the floor because you're trying to get a stop. You're trying to secure this win. You don't want this to go to overtime. So you have to put the necessary defenders on the floor so they can get a stop. But nonetheless, Nick Nurse chose to go with the players that were in the game already. And then they inbound it, and that was a great play. I think that was a screen-to-screener action where Seth Curry, I think Kyle Lowry was guarding Seth Curry, and then Seth Curry sets a screen on Jared McCain, and then LaMelo Ball slips to the near corner, gets it, and he just lets it fly. Right, he lets it fly, and he makes that 3-pointer, and then it ties the game at 97. So it ties the game at 97. 8 seconds left to go. I still thought the Sixers had a chance to win this game in regulation because, I mean, you have Jared McCain on the floor who was, he was a hot hand, and Jared McCain is a good 3-point shooter. So the Sixers come out, and they draw this play, and Paul George gets it in the corner, and I believe Paul George had a lot of time to let that fly. Because I've seen him in a similar position like that where he made a game-tying shot from that same spot. I mean, even though it was a different team, but in the corner, in the near corner, I've seen Paul George go up and make a huge 3-pointer to tie a game. So I felt like he had a chance to go up for that 3-pointer and just make it, just let it fly because, I mean, the Sixers had a lot of time, but he got it and he waited for the nearby defender to close in, which was Cody Martin. And then when the defender closed in, another defender came in for the double team. But then Paul George goes up and, forces up a tough shot, and then he misses. Now, for that play, I believe that play should have went to Jared McCain. The reason why I believe that is because Paul George at that point was 0 for 4 from the field, right? In the fourth quarter, he was not in rhythm. And Jared McCain, for the most part, was doing he was doing most of the scoring for the Sixers, right? Getting to the basket, shooting threes. Like he was the hot hand. So I believe the Sixers should have went with the hot hand, but Nick Nurse chose to go with Paul George, the best player, and then Paul George ends up missing the shot. So he misses the shot. The Sixers go to overtime, right? Game tied at 97. Sixers go to overtime. Now in overtime, Paul George doesn't play at all in overtime because he apparently had reached the maximum amount of minutes that he was supposed to play. So Paul George didn't even play a minute in overtime. But Nick Nurse did something where I was really, when I saw it, I was like, okay, let me see how this goes. So what he did was he had Yabusele and Andre Drummond together in the same starting lineup in overtime, right? So I was I was I was like, let me see how this goes. But it wasn't as bad. I mean, offensively, the Sixers couldn't create anything, right? They couldn't create anything. They couldn't score. And then at that point, Jared McCain had played, all the fourth quarter. He had played all those minutes. And then heading into overtime, he was still playing all those minutes. So I felt like he got a little bit gassed by overtime. I thought he was a little bit gassed, but I mean, nonetheless, the game is tied. We have to win this game, right? We have to win this game, and there's no way we can lose the sixth game in a row. YFOA says, he said, bro, I was trusting McCain more than, of course, because Jared McCain was the hot hand at that point. Paul George in the fourth had missed all 4 of his shots. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful by saying that Jared McCain should have gotten the last shot. I'm just saying that in situations like that, you should just go with the hot hand, right? You should just go with the hot hand. And Jared McCain is capable of making those. He's capable of making those threes. I mean, Paul George was 1 for 9 from the 3-point line. So it just would have made sense if the Sixers or Nick Nurse would have went with Jared McCain, because we had a lot of time in. 8 seconds, that's a lot of time for Jared McCain to get off a shot, right? Get off a shot or get to the basket or, get fouled or, whatever the case is. But, yeah, the Sixers go to overtime, and, the Yabusele, Drummond lineup, it was good, but the Sixers didn't really score. They had a lot of empty possessions, but Charlotte, on the other hand, also had a lot of empty possessions. But Charlotte was really battling on the glass, right? In one possession, they had like 2 offensive rebounds, and that was all from the work of Moussa Diabate. And shout out to Moussa Diabate, former Clippers player. He did very, very good on the glass. Coming off the bench, I believe if he had started, they probably would have had a much better outcome than they did. But I mean, he's still a young player, so I understand why they went with Taj Gibson. But both teams, they're struggling overtime. And then Kyle Lowry gets to the free throw line, right? He gets to the free throw line at the 3:10 mark, and then he makes both of his free throws. So he puts the Sixers up by 2 points. And then the very next possession, LaMelo Ball gets to the free throw line. He gets fouled by, I think it was Kelly Oubre. Kelly had fouled him, so he got to the line, and then he makes his 2 free throws to tie the game up. YFOA says, and it felt like Lowry wanted to get fouled. When he got fouled, when he got the ball, just stood there and didn't even try to run the clock out. Yeah, that's true. You're talking about in regulation. Yeah, I definitely, that really pissed me off. It really pissed me off. He wanted to, he was trying to stat pad a little bit, get some of these easy quick points, because he had a terrible game offensively or scoring the ball. He had a terrible game, but I believe he made up for it in overtime, and I'm gonna definitely get to it. But yeah, LaMelo Ball gets to the free throw line. He makes his 2 free throws, and then Yabusele gets a post up opportunity on Grant Williams. I forgot who passed him the ball and found him that mismatch, but he gets it, post up Grant Williams, and then he makes those 2 points. And then Charlotte comes back, and LaMelo Ball is able to get to the basket and gets fouled, right? He makes the shot, gets fouled, gets the traditional 3-point play, gets to the line, puts the he puts them up by 2 points. I mean, puts them up by 1 point, And then Jared McCain on the very next possession scores for the Sixers. Right. So he scores for the Sixers, and that's where the Sixers go up by 1 point. I mean, 1 or 2 points, and then they play this free throw game. And Yabusele gets fouled. Right. When Yabusele gets fouled, the Sixers are up by, I believe, by 1 point, 1 or 2 points. So when he gets fouled, he gets to the free throw line and misses the first one. Right. He missed the first one. And then on the very second one, he missed it again. And that once he missed it, I kind of like gave up in this game. But Kyle Lowry, being the pest that he is, he was able to, fight, be a pass, fight on that offensive rebound, and was able to steal it from Cody Martin. And then Caleb Martin came up with the steal. So Caleb comes up with the steal. He gets fouled. So Caleb gets to the line. And when he gets to the line, I think the Sixers were up by 1 point. He gets to the line, he makes those 2 free throws, and then he puts the Sixers up by 3 points, right? Puts the Sixers up by 3 points. And then Charlotte tried to get a 3. Grant Williams tried to shoot a 3 and trying to get fouled, but the referees didn't call it on a shot, right? They called it on the floor, but they were in the bonus anyway, so he was still going to get 2 free throws. So he gets to the line, makes the first one, trying to miss the second one on purpose, but offensive interference, right? The ball didn't hit the rim before he crossed the free throw line. So the Sixers get it, and the Sixers end up winning this game. And it was a very, very ugly game. And I felt like this game should have never went to overtime, right? This game should have never went to overtime. But when you don't execute properly, when you don't pay attention to the situation you're in, you're always going to be in overtime, right? If you don't execute properly, if you don't get stops, timely stops, when you need to get them, you're gonna put yourself in positions where you have to play in overtime, and that's what Charlotte did. They played hard, from start to finish. They just, they had players missing, and that really hurt them a lot. But let me read this last comment right here. YF08 says, and also, I'm happy PG didn't play in overtime. I love seeing McCain run the show. Exactly. And just like I said, YF, I think Jared McCain has earned the trust of Nick Nurse. And, for Nick Nurse to play him 12 straight minutes, I think that shows me that he's starting to trust him. And from now on, he should definitely be in the rotations. I mean, Jared McCain, every time he's played, he's made a positive impact. Now, defensively, that's where he's not a good defender, but he can definitely get you. He can definitely get you some rebounds. Sometimes he can play in the passing lanes and deflect some passes, which can lead to a lot of fast breaks, right? So I think on that note, I would definitely give him credit for that part. But him being a defender, that's not his strongest suit. But this game, I mean, let me look at the box score. I mean, I know Jared McCain had 27 points, and then Yabusele had 20. But let me read off the box score real quick. Shout to him. He balled out. Proved why the Sixers or why Nick Nurse should play him. But yeah, right here, Jared McCain, 27 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Right, 10 for 18 from the field, 3 for 8 from the 3-point line. So he definitely balled. This is probably his career high. Well, yeah, which it is. It's his career high. So he definitely balled out coming off the bench. Gave the Sixers a lot of offense coming off the bench. I mean, him, Yabusele, and Jeff Dowtin Jr., right? These guys came off the bench, and they gave the Sixers a positive impact. Now, Eric Gordon, who came off the bench, didn't score, turning the ball over, missing defensive rotations. He was terrible, right? Eric Gordon was terrible, and there's no reason why Eric Gordon should be playing at this point, right? Now, I know Nick Nurse is still going to play him regardless, but I believe Jared McCain has definitely proved himself, right? He's definitely proved himself, and he's definitely earned a spot in the rotation, and I don't think Nick Nurse should ever keep him on the bench again, because he can definitely create his own shot to a certain degree. He can shoot the 3 to a certain degree. And then defensively, if he's in the right spots, I think he can definitely He can definitely be a plus defensively. But um, I think for him to have an impact defensively, you have to have the right pieces on the floor as well. If you have Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon with Jared McCain, and then on top of that you have a small ball lineup, I don't think he's definitely going to get exposed on defense. So I think that's where Nick Nurse has to be better. Defensively, not just Jared McCain. I think defensively, Nick Nurse has to be much better as well because on a defensive possession like that in regulation, there's no way you should have Jared McCain on the floor, right? There's no way you should have Jared McCain on the floor. And then when they made the shot, guess what? When Charlotte was on defense, they took LaMelo Ball out the game because he's not a defender. He's not a good defender. So they took the liability out the game. So I think that was something that Nick Nurse should have done even prior to, Charlotte inbounding the basketball, right? That's something they should have done. But Nick Nurse didn't do it, and this game went to overtime, which, the Sixers, their first two victories come in overtime, which it's it's a little bit funny at this point, but a win is a win, and you take a win. But I have a little bit of concerns with Paul George. Because he struggled in this game. He was like I said, he was 1 for 9 from the 3-point line. And then from the field, he was 6 for 18. So not a very good night for Paul George. But I believe he's definitely I believe he's definitely gonna get better. He would definitely get better. But against the Knicks, I think he should look to have a much better game, a bounce back game. And against the Knicks, Thomas keep telling me OG gonna lock him up and all that. Okay, all right, but we'll see. But I'm not trying to discredit OG. OG's definitely a good defender, but I believe Paul George can definitely have his way offensively with him. Right, I believe he can definitely have his way offensively with him, and with Joel Embiid coming back, I believe that's going to open the floor up a lot for Paul George. It's going to give him a lot of options offensively. It's going to open up some driving lanes for him and also add more or additional space into the floor, which would definitely benefit Paul George. So, that's all I got. The Sixers are 2-7 to start off the season. Their first 9 games are 2-7. Who would have thought? And they might lose the game against the Knicks, right? The Knicks are favored to win, so we'll see how that goes. But I dropped the link. I don't know YFOA. I don't know if you want to come in and give me your thoughts on this game. I would definitely like to hear your thoughts about this game. But yeah, Humble, TuneIn Sports, Hendo. I dropped the link. If y'all want to come in and give me your thoughts, it will be greatly appreciated. But overall, I think the Sixers, they did play a good game. The last or the execution in the clutch, that's where the issue was, right? Defensively, having some defensive lapses. I thought, that's one of the main issues I had. And then Kyle Lowry playing all those minutes, Eric Gordon getting some playing time. I think those should be cleaned up. And I think Jeff Dowling should get minutes, right? He should definitely get minutes. At least he can do something, right? He can do something when he's in the game. Eric Gordon he ain't giving you nothing, right? But I think Jeff Dowling, he's on a two-way contract, so he's definitely trying to get his contract converted to a standard NBA contract. So every opportunity he gets, he's definitely going to play to the best. He's definitely going to try to play his best and make the most out of opportunities like that. So I think when you have players like that, you should definitely give them a shot, right? Because they're definitely going to give it everything they have. Right now, that don't mean that they're not going to have bad games. They could have bad games, but I think you should just try, because the Sixers, the guard rotation is trash with Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon. It's just trash. So if you have some young legs, you should definitely try them out. Pause. Yeah, that was wild. I can go lie, that was wild. But I'm looking forward to the game against the Knicks. It's definitely going to be a tough game in Philly. I think that's the first in-season tournament game. I know a lot of y'all not really y'all not interested in the in-season tournament. I mean, it's part of the regular season, so with the Sixers being down 2-7, I think they should definitely look to win this game. In-season tournament, or not in-season tournament, you should just look to get this victory. Right? They should just look to get this victory. Man, I'm in school, but next time, all right, no, yeah, you good, YF, you good. Appreciate you for being here, though. Appreciate you. Smash that like button, yo. Smash that like button. Let me just talk about a few takeaways, and then I'm gonna just let y'all go. But I've been hearing a lot of talks that when Embiid returns, Gershon Yabusele should be the backup center and not Andre Drummond, because Andre Drummond has been terrible in the stretch. Which yeah, that is true. That's partially true, but I think you should still have Andre Drummond as the backup 5, because I think that's the position that he thrives in. I don't think at this point he's good to be a starter, right? And him being a starter, him playing all these minutes, I think that's contributing to him not being as effective, right? I saw him get bullied on the glass a couple times by some of these players, right? And sometimes it just felt like he didn't even want to. Sometimes it felt like he didn't even want any parts of it, right? But I mean, Andre Drummond still finished with the double-double, still finished with 10 rebounds. But I still think he should be the backup 5 and Yabusele. I mean, I would rather want Yabusele in the power forward position, right? Whether as a starter or coming off the bench. I would rather want him in the power forward position, because he's showing you that he has the ability to, do some of these necessary things. Shoot the 3, be a big body down low, getting rebounds. Now on the perimeter, he is a liability, because he cannot keep up with some of these quicker guards, right? There are on multiple occasions we saw LaMelo Ball take him off the dribble, multiple times, because LaMelo's quick, right? He's lightning quick. He can get to the basket, blink of an eye, and has a very, very quick, has a quick first step. So we saw some possessions where, LaMelo was taking advantage of him, but I don't think that's his strongest suit. But if he's in the paint, right, if he's in the gaps, he can definitely cause havoc in that, in positions like that. But if he has to guard one-on-one on the perimeter, it's not going to be good for him. So I just want Yabusele at the power forward position, whether as a starter or coming off the bench. I think that would be the best situation possible for him, and not as a backup center. I don't think he's going to be good as a backup center, because the Sixers give up a lot of points in the paint, and they give up a lot of rebounds, offensive rebounds, when he's the backup 5. So as a power forward, he's solid, right? He's been impressive. Against Phoenix, he was impressive. A few games he was impressive, and then in this game right here last night, he was also impressive, giving you 20 points, 8 rebounds, and just being a big body down low, right? Being a big body down low. So yeah, that's what I think. Now of course, love the channel so far. Yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you, YF. Appreciate you. Oh, you think he should start? I mean, I don't think it matters to me whether he starts or not. I just want to see him in the power forward position, right? I think that's the best situation possible for him, right? Whether as a starter or coming off the bench. But I definitely want to see what it looks like when he starts with Embiid. I mean, we got a little bit of a glimpse of what it might potentially look like in overtime, but that's a small sample size, so we can't really I can't really go off of that. And then on top of that, Embiid and Drummond are 2 completely different players. So but it's just a little bit of glimpse to what it could look like. But I mean, I want to see him as a starter, and then I want to see him coming off the bench and see what that looks like. Now I know some people are gonna say, oh, he's on a minimum contract, he shouldn't be starting, which I mean that could be fair. But just give the man an opportunity, and let's see what he can do as a starter. That's all I'm asking for. If he's bad, guess what? have him as a rotation player. It's not going to be that difficult. So, but yeah, um, great win for the Sixers. Hopefully this victory can carry on against the Knicks. I want to beat the Knicks so bad. I want to beat the Knicks so bad. The Knicks the Knicks fans, they talk all this trash about the Sixers, forgetting that they haven't been out the second round themselves. They talk all that crap about the Sixers not being able to get to the conference finals, but they forget that their team hasn't been to the conference finals. Right? They forget that in the 21st century, they haven't been to the conference finals. So I just want to teach them a lesson. I would teach them a lesson, man. They run their mouths so much, right? Y'all ain't been out the second round either, so just cut it out. Cut it out. The Sixers, at least in the 21st century, they've been to the conference finals. Y'all haven't. So just knock it off. But yeah, shout out to them Knicks fans, man. Shout out to the Knicks fans. Shout out to the Knicks fans. I mean, funny enough, my family is Knicks fans, but I'm just yeah, they talk all that they talk all that trash about the Sixers not getting to the conference finals, and they haven't been out the conference finals. I mean, they haven't been to the conference finals. I'm like, bro, what? Like, what we doing, man? What are we doing, man? I mean, getting Jalen Brunson, yeah, that's nice. Getting Karl Anthony Towns, that's nice. I mean, that's steps. You're getting closer and closer, but you still got to get to the conference finals. And you can't tell me that, oh, we was hurt last season, that's why we didn't get to the conference finals. Because if you was hurt, then we have to play the injury game for the Sixers as well, right? The Sixers have also had injuries, so I think it goes both ways. But they talk all that trash like they've won 8 championships, and they only have 2. And last time they won a championship, Richard Nixon was president in the 70s, right? So I just want to teach the Knicks. I want to teach the Knicks a lesson. I mean, the Knicks fans, they can't fuck with me, bro. I know everything about the Knicks because my family's Knicks fans. But I see Thomas trolling with the Knicks, and Thomas is an OG Anunoby fanboy. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what he sees in OG. I mean, come on, bro. Out of all the players in the NBA, man, you can't make this up, man. You can't. YFOA says, I'm lucky enough to be in Orlando. Most people don't care about basketball. The Knicks most people don't care about the Knicks. My fault. Hella Heat and Celtics fans though. But I mean Orlando. The Magic. They're a good team this year, so they don't have. Wait, ain't no Magic fans in Orlando? Because I thought the Orlando Magic is the best team in Florida. I mean, that's what I keep hearing. But yeah, I mean, I think Florida is a Heat town, so there's definitely going to be more Heat fans than Magic fans. So yeah, I definitely get it. The Knicks will fall. I mean, we Tune In Sports. I told Humble that this back-to-back, the Sixers are winning at least one game. I mean, I wish we would take both of them, right? I wish we would snap y'all winning streak, a 10 or 11 game winning streak. I wish we snapped that, but yeah, I want to take both victories, bro. If we beat y'all, bro, shit. If we beat y'all, we about to go on a run of our own, and that's gonna be huge for us. YFOA says the Magic are good, but not many people actually like the Magic and watch them. They just go to the games to watch the other teams. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because I thought the Magic had some solid fans. Tune In Sports says just like the Sixers will fall. I mean, with no disrespect, fall to who? To the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs, they the best team in the East. So, I mean, record wise. So, if we fall to the Cavs, it's not even. We'll see. I think we play 4 times this year, so we still have opportunities to get our get back. We still do. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. This was fun. But yeah, I plan to call the game against the Knicks. I'll probably call that game and then do the post game the next day. Right. I hate doing post game reactions right after watching the game, especially if you're calling it, because you're gonna miss a lot of stuff from the beginning. So yeah, that's what I like. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that like button for me. Shout out to Tune In Sports. Shout out to my guy YF08. Appreciate you. Shout out to Who Is Hendo. Shout out to Humble. Humble was in the he was in the live stream from the beginning. Shout out to my guy Mike. Shout out to Michael as well. Michael's always showing love and support. And then also shout out to my guy JD Banks. Right. Shout out to JD Banks. Always watching on the playback. Appreciate you. Much love and support, brother. Appreciate you. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hey, Sixers, I'm gonna put this on the screen, right? Especially to them Laker fans that be coming over here. KBFR and then J. Cool. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep talking about my squad, our personnel ages, the way he plays, he stays injured, we're past our time in this league, etc., etc., etc. Do me one favor, please. And I mean pretty please. Keep that same narrative energy when this all starts. That's all I'm asking for. Right? So, J. Cool from KBFR, this quote right here, this is for y'all. Right? Y'all keep calling the Sixers trash. The Sixers is this, the Sixers is that. Just keep that same energy. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking for. Just keep that same energy. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. This was a fun episode. Appreciate y'all for making it very, very entertaining for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hey, Tune In Sports. Stop ducking the smoke, bro. Peace.